push a couple of magic. I love it when magic buttons do magic things and the magic show starts, right? So welcome officially everyone to tonight's conversation, tonight's training. Tonight's conversation is all about supercharging your team. So let me again officially welcome you to this conversation, to this training, to this magic show. And I'm going to hit a couple of magic buttons here, and we're going to put some slides up, and we're going to share them, and we're going to get this this process underway. And if I start moving things around, that works really, really well. So again, we're going to supercharge team performance. And for those of you, hey, Dr. Marcy, nice to have you.
Hi, Tom.
For those of you that haven't had a chance to interact with Full Circle, we've got a prime directive, if you will, and then there's a couple of ripple effects. So we believe that who you are as a person matters a lot. And helping people grow to their fullest authentic potential, one of the things we dislike intensely at Full Circle, God bless those that see otherwise, but we see the world as a group of unique, powerful, authentic individuals. And we want to see that authenticity, that inside out aspect you get fully expressed. And when that happens, as a business professional, you grow. And then we have these couple of pretty cool side effects, which is you take more time off, quality of life skyrockets, and you make more money. I was talking to a client who I won't mention names, but in the last couple of days, and I was saying, so, it's been 4 years we've been working together. I said, so I understand you've doubled your already rather high, practice revenue into multi-millions. I know that you're taking more time off, but what's happened on the quality of life? And it was so cool, you guys, and so rewarding to me, because what he shared with me is all of the stuff that's changed in the quality of life. He bought a vacation property in Tucson, and he now travels down there. He works 6 weeks, takes either 10 days or 2 weeks off, because now we've structured it so that he's not, over the tables all the time. He's actually got 2 associates with a third on the way. So him and his wife can enjoy that time away. He started playing the piano after a 30-year hiatus because he had more time now. And he actually sent me a recording, and it was just absolutely amazing to hear that. He bought a motorcycle. He bought a Tesla. Anyways, his quality of life in his ideal is through the roof. And that's the stuff that, I love to see the financial gains, you guys. There's nothing wrong with making lots of money, but the quality of life stuff, for me, that's priceless, right? So I developed this, and some of you have seen it before, but I'm so damn proud of it. I want to share it again. Because what I did was I really thought through what are the prime movers and shakers for people, depending upon where they are in their journey in business, okay? And our model is vision, focus, systems, and team, as probably some of you know. And, we've got folks down here, if you see the bottom of the slide, you guys, that are working through what we call the clarity phase, really getting clarity about who they are, what they value, how they want to express themselves in the world, both professionally. And we find folks working in that phase are in that sort of 5 to 20,000 take-home phase. People have worked through and got a relative level of mastery of that level. They work on the manifestation phase, which is kind of more in the 20 to 40,000 a month range. Again, there's lots of variation, guys. Don't hold me to that, but that's just sort of been our experience. And then there's this other phase called the legacy phase, which is where people are thinking more about passing the torch, succession planning, mastering different aspects of business like delegation and time and money and that kind of stuff, right? And those people are, moving into the 40K a month plus range, right, in terms of take home. So these are in each of the 3 different aspects of growth. It's almost like 3 rungs on a ladder, you guys, okay? I have identified 3 of the 25 or 55 different focus points we have in our coaching. I've narrowed it down to the 3 like prime movers under vision, under focus, under systems, under team. So it's really simplified the process for people to realize what they need to focus on, where and when, in order to grow in whatever sort of rung of the ladder they're moving through, right? And once they've mastered that, if they choose and want to move to the next rung of the ladder, they've got a strong foundation underneath them to do that. So it's not, it's almost plug and play, you guys, right? And it's really made, selfishly, it's made my job a hell of a lot easier because it's easy to identify where someone's at, what exactly they need, put them to work, let them do their job. So anyways, for those of you that haven't had a chance to interact with me or Full Circle before, that's a little bit about what we do. Let's get to tonight's main event, supercharging team performance. And you know what, we've got a relatively modest group of folks on here, you know, so why don't we more people joining us as we go here. And if I push a bunch of series of really right buttons here, I should be able to, you would think, should be able to. Oh boy, now I've really done something wrong, haven't I? Let's try this again, because I think I actually took out what I wanted to do here, which is, oh boy. I think I'm going to get a D minus, you guys, on technology tonight. And here I was trying to be all like, you know, super smart about all this whole thing. So let me try this again, you guys, relative to, somehow I lost a slide deck is what happened. So let me just be transparent that I'm not exactly a rocket scientist when it comes to technology, but hopefully you guys, can somebody give me a wave or a thumbs up? Did I get the slides back?
You did.
I did.
Good for you.
Thank you. Look at that. Who says you can't teach a middle-aged dog a new trick, you guys, right? So here's the piece. Every entrepreneur I've ever worked with, and I actually work with chiropractors because that's the people that I love the most in the business world, and I'm one myself. Everybody that wants to make a difference with their lives and leave the planet a better place than they found it, which I'm going to make a wild assumption and guess here that that's everybody that's on this call. Is that a fair assumption on my part, you guys?
Yes.
Heads, thumbs up. Yeah?
Yes.
Cool. So there's only so much that you can do as an individual, right, in your business. There's only so many people you can see. There's only so many phones you can answer. There's only so many, you know, credit card imprints you can take. There's only so much we can do. So if we want to create leverage and impact, which leads to more service to your community, which leads to more fulfillment for you as an individual, and fringe benefit, more revenue and profit so that you can do the other things you love to do, you got to bring a team on, right? But with team, you guys, comes, you know, in my experience, running teams for 35 years, I will put in just an absolute shameless plug for the team that I'm running right now, because it is absolutely the best team I've ever assembled in all of my years of business, right? Just absolute rock stars. There's a sharp side to that. Right. And here's some of the sharp sides that I've found here. Oh boy, we're back to that again. Are we? Let's move here. Mediocre performance. Just out of either show of hands or throw it in the chat. Has anybody ever had a team member that's been like mediocre at best? Anybody besides me? Anybody in a hand out there? Yeah, I see Dan's hand up. Yeah. Brad's hand.
Yep.
Oh, Marcy, no. You've always got superstars. I love it. You must have been well coached. I'm just saying, you know. But mediocre performance, you guys, is one of those things, and it causes a lot of frustration. And early in my career, I had more than one. I've only ever had to fire one team member in all of my 35 years of business. Extremely unpleasant experience. Did not love that at all. And I've only ever had to fire one coaching client too, in thousands I've had. So that's that speaks well to our screening process, I guess. But anyways, this Brenda was her name, and she just, I don't know, just had a different work ethic, didn't follow through, just didn't kind of get, you know, the big idea. We had all kinds of structure. We had team meetings and different things in place, but it just, and what it did was it actually acted, you guys, like a virus with the rest of the team members. Because if she's mediocre and she's still drawing a paycheck and she's, you know, not getting kicked, it's like, well, watch this. I guess maybe there's no incentive for me to, you know, to crush it and hit it out of the park, right? So mediocrity is a byproduct of the thing that we're going to talk about tonight, which is a team that's not supercharged. And it's actually an inverse relationship. It's just literally the more mediocre, you know, the worse things get, right? So what you end up having to do then, or at least what I did with Brenda was, you know, I was in the I can rescue her phase, right? Anybody ever, curiosity, a wave of hand, anybody ever been in the rescue phase? Yeah. So what do you start to do? You micromanage, right? You're giving them more attention, more love, if you will, than any other member of the team, which actually breeds, does anybody know the word? What does it breed?
Hostility.
Say again?
Hostility.
Yes, hostility or resentment is what I found, right?
Yeah.
And so, and that is not what I would call a vibration of energy that I want to hang in, right? That's not the place that I want to spend, extensive periods of time, nor does anybody else, including your practice members. So it can actually become a big neg all the way around relative to, the entire reason that we have a business, which is serve our communities, help them live a higher quality life, whether you're focusing more on the pain side, or you're focusing more on the function side, or like I did on the optimal performance side. All of those pieces are going to get negatively, affected. And then you end up getting into this phase, right? Anybody do this? The hand holding phase, right? Which is, to me, is the extension of the micromanagement and the I can help them, fix them, save them phase, right? I can just, if I just try harder, as if I just give them more energy, if I just turn the corner. Because there's an old saying, and I've heard it referenced in politics, but I think it applies to HR, you guys. Better to be with the devil you know than the devil you don't, right? Yeah. We literally, even after all my years of experience, we worked with a group, an offshore group, bring on a virtual administrative assistant. And I can tell you, I went through all of these different phases until I started to present her. And that was when I knew unequivocally it was time for this lovely young lady to go. And truthfully, that old business saying that's been around for probably centuries at this stage, you guys, you hire slow and you fire fast. And yeah. I didn't fire fast, and it was literally a virus, in the company, on the team, right? So my bad. Another good takeaway for me. And as my wife says, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, but I've heard it. I've heard me say it from the platform before. One of the values or advantages of teaching, you guys, is you got to really know your crap if you're going to teach, right? So, and you always teach what you most need to learn. Point in case, right? Here I am, 35 years in business, and I didn't fire fast, and caused emotional heartache and a little bit of probably financial heartache and whatever else. So of course my wife says it really lovingly. She goes, to teach you got to learn, and you teach a lot, so you must be one dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, only a loving wife could say it as direct as that. Right, Robin? Yeah. Okay. So what ends up happening, right, to the team members? They're just more work than they're worth, right? Distracting. They create literally resentment across the other team members. They cause you to work harder, literally. You're not delegating this. I mean, it's just a domino. I won't say it because it's too locker room, but it's a cluster mess, right? I mean, literally, right? Because really what it is that we want, you guys, is this, all right? We want peak performers, right? And let's be clear. I'm going to say something. If you're a note taker and you only write one thing down tonight, you're going to want to write this down. Okay. People come from us, not to us. People come from us, not to us. Right. So if you want to create a supercharged team, one of the things you got to do is you got to get your perpetual act together as well. Right. Because I can remember early on where I actually thought it was a good idea to do everything myself. But I thought it was it was okay to delegate it. My team didn't really want to do it. I'd just take it back on again. Somehow that made me better because I wore the I work really hard badge, like, super big, right? Like I wore that like a Boy Scout badge, for heaven's sakes. Like, I got my I work really hard badge. Look at me, right? No, that's not the key, you guys, right? So when there's room inside of you, let me say this so clearly. When there's room inside of you to allow other people to shine really bright, to bring their A game, to be A players, do all they can, you'll attract A players into your life. I learned that the hard way, sadly. Okay, you guys. So just realize we're talking about team, we're talking about others, but really the first place you got to look in this process is in the mirror, right? If you're a perfectionist, you're a shitty leader, you want to do it yourself because no one can do it as good as you. I actually remember saying that one time, you guys, like 30 years ago, right? There's no room for a peak performer. You're an A player, you're casting a shadow. You're just going to attract B or likely C players. So you can be an A player and attract A players, but boy, you've got to have room for them. And I would highly advocate you continue to work on your skills as a leader, your skills as a delegator, your skills at being, good at accountability, all of the parts that, are part of our roadmap actually in our team section. So, all right, because you like people, peak performers take initiative, don't they? Here's how I language this, you guys, in my business. I want team members who run beside me, not behind me, right? Because if they're running behind me, it takes a lot of energy to lead them. It takes a lot of energy to manage them. And they're always 1, 3, 10 steps behind. Peak performers take initiative, and they'll actually take on tasks. They'll actually take on a leadership role and suggest to you, say, hey boss, I've been thinking about something I think would make, X, Y, Z better. Hey boss, I'm thinking that I would like to take on this initiative to, move this project down the field, right? Those are A players. Those are the kind of people I want on my team. And with the exceptions of the one we recently let go, largely that's who I have on my team. And those of you that know my coaching team, I'm particularly, you know that they're A plus, right? Because now what happens is they manage themselves. Oh my God, what a dream. Well, who wouldn't want team members that are so A plus, take such initiative and are so accountable that they actually, manage themselves? It takes very little energy. It's one of the biggest reasons when I coach and consult, particularly when I travel into people's offices, they don't want to expand their team, is because they don't want somebody else to manage. And that's because you're bringing on the wrong type of people, gang. Okay. And by the way, I'll say this, hopefully several times, Carl, certainly another training I did, I talked about it a lot, but hiring is a really bad 4-letter word. It's not as bad as some, but don't hire, never hire. Recruit, different mindset, different thing, right? And the quick story, which bears repeating because I am a storyteller. The vehicle I'm driving right now is 2018 Dodge Ram pickup. And it was 2017 when I get into the game looking for a new pickup, and because I live a lot of time in the outdoors and I need a pickup. And I kept telling, and there was all kinds of discounts and deals. And I, talked to the sales manager. I said, find me a 2017 that has this and this and this and this in it. And he'd go out and look, and he'd come back and he'd go, yeah, you know what, Doc, I can get you one that has this and this, but not that and that and that. So is that good enough? And I'm like, no, man, I kind of want that stuff. I said, well, okay, I want this and this, but I could live without that and that. So go find me one. And of course, inventory is deteriorating because they got all the bonuses on all this kind of stuff, right? Weeks go by. And finally, I have like an epiphany. I have the big, one-handed clap wake up moment, because he was having a hard time finding me what I wanted. And I said, this is the equivalent. This is the metaphor, you guys. I was hiring. I had a window of time that I felt like I needed to bring on this new truck. And I was going out to try and find the best that was available at the time. Instead of recruiting, because in this example, recruiting, what I did was I said, stop being a dumbass, Preston. Just get the truck you want, for God's sakes, right? So I said, get me a brand new 2018 with all of these features. And he goes, cool, I'll have that for you in 6 weeks. I said, awesome. You guys, brand new 2018 with everything I want, that's recruiting. Trying to settle for something that wasn't quite what I wanted and kind of fit under a time window, that's hiring. Do not hire, recruit. And just so you know, at Full Circle, under our roadmap I showed you guys, and under the team piece, we got a 14-step process in order to get you to your pay properly. Okay. I got a little wee bit of background noise, you guys. I'm going to maybe mute that. If you're in a noisy background, you guys, would you just hit mute, please? That would be absolutely fantastic. Let me just see if that's of any value. That does not do what I want it to do. So that's okay. All right. Because end result here, you guys, what we want is that we already said this, but we want effortless A+ team members. And I'll show you something. And you know what? Technology is going to be my friend tonight. I just feel it. So I'm going to go back to technology, and I want to show you a performance versus management index that I've manifested. And let me just get my iPad fired up here and hit some magic button. And we should see, yay, we should see what I want to see, you guys. Okay, so across the bottom here, you guys, is management, okay? And on this axis, we have performance, okay? And it's an inverse quadrant piece here, you guys, right? Because actually over here, is less, okay? And yet at the bottom, so that's on that side of the x-axis, and yet over, whoa, now don't do that. And on this side, you guys, less is over here, and more is obviously in the inverse spot, okay? So what we want, you guys, in the world that I live in, is we want more performance, not less. Correct? Yes, you guys are up for that? Anybody? Thumbs up? Yes. But we want less management, not more. So the question then is, where is the sweet spot? What happens? Okay. I would offer that, we already talked about this, you guys, mediocrity can literally looks like where maybe you're not doing a whole lot of management, but you also don't have a whole lot of performance. You guys with me? Right?
Yeah.
Because eventually you just kind of burn out, and at least I just kind of burn out and give up. So this is not where we want to be. That's like red for like, you know, stop. Okay. So you can then manage them a whole lot more, right? As we talked about, but still not necessarily get performance if they're not like an A+ player. And I can tell you exactly what that leads to, you guys.
Burnout, yeah.
Burnout, 100%, right? Which again, in the world I live in, that ain't a lot of fun either, right? So that's maybe not red, but it's kind of feels like if you're doing a stoplight, that's kind of like, you know, amber, okay? So then it's like, okay, well, we want more performance, but maybe we need to manage them more. And then you end up with this, right? Where you end up micromanaging. And I would say micromanaging and having to put all that effort and stuff, right? Because we got, in this example, we have more management, right? We're getting more performance, but there's a cost to that, which is more management. So again, that isn't the sweet spot. That's kind of, to me, again, kind of like an amber light. What we want over here in this quadrant, this is the sweet spot, you guys, right? This is the spot that I want all of my team members to be in, is over here. Because over here, we have people who are self-managed, right? They take initiative, and they are, in fact, peak performers. So how is it we actually do that? How is it we actually do? By the way, I just realized, you know what? I'm not even going to try and pretend. My handwriting is atrocious, and I'm printing. Okay, like I'm. If I actually tried to cursive write, oh dear Lord, it would just be an absolute train wreck. Okay, so I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not even going to, you know, not even going to do that to myself, quite frankly. So, okay, so what we want is this effortless team. So, Dr. Shaylin is somebody that we work with at Full Circle. And I can tell you that when we really got into the team pillar on the roadmap, we certainly, boy, Shaylin looks young in that picture. Wow, she looks great. These were some of the things that Shaylin was struggling with, right? Before she started working on this with us in her coaching. She was micromanaging the heck out of her team, right? She was getting performance, but she was paying a price for it because she had to like invest the time, right? It created this like what we call team entropy, right? Second law of thermodynamics. Organized systems tend to go to their least organized state, if left to their own accord. Not fun. And because of the sort of constant micromanagement, they realized they didn't sort of have to take any initiative or do anything. So systems started to slip, right? Anybody been there? Systems slipping because of mediocre performance, right? Yeah, 100%, right? And it just took a ton of effort. So what ends up happening when you do that for a long period of time? Starts with a B, ends with a T. You burn out, right? And Shaylin was getting tired. And I mean, she's not that terribly old yet. She isn't middle-aged like me, right? You know, because when you're living to be 129, this guy, 129, you know, I'm closer to 60 than 50 now. Can't believe I actually just said that on a recorded thing. But anyways, I did. But that's just middle-aged when you're living to be 129, right? Dan and I were talking about this on a game plan call the other day, right? So after Shaylin dove into what we're going to dive into tonight, you guys, that was a much easier management. It created absolute clarity for her and the team. And we ended up getting into team excellence. And as a result of that, her life improved, a lot less energy, a lot less effort, a lot less going home at night, grumpy, right? Who likes going home to the family when you're grumpy because you're like spent and burnt out? Because you spent, you know, literally way more time you needed to managing the team and putting out fires and solving crisis and all that stuff that comes with that, right? So what happened, she was able to lead the team effectively and efficiently, and things are very different today for Shailene. And now we've got working her through, and she's actually graduated to the legacy phase of the roadmap. And we now have 3 associate docs in her office and a very large team. We just acquired another practice to integrate into hers, and she's just crushing it. So she's doubled, tripled her staff from when we started coaching. And she's actually spending less time in the office, less hassles, less management. It is possible, you guys, right? And there's 5 keys. Oh, look at how he segued, Marcy. Did you like that? I just kind of segued that, right? Kind of pulled that right out of my butt. You got 5 steps, you guys, and I'm going to go through each one of these in great detail. So don't worry about taking notes if you're a note taker, okay? These are the 5 steps. You got to recruit, never hire. You've got to create outcomes-based language with your team, train and never stop training, do performance reviews, and do an annual rewrite of your outcomes, all right? So the first step, you guys, is recruit. And we talked briefly about this just a few minutes ago. Hire, in my opinion, is a 4-letter word, one of the worst in business, right? Do not hire. Use the example earlier in this recording. It just literally, it allows you and increase the probability that you're going to settle. So there are lots of docs that we've coached and bump into on a regular basis, maybe even somebody on this call or gonna watch this recording. It was like, yeah, but Tom, it seems like, 14 steps. Dude, are you kidding me? Like 14 steps to bring on and recruit an ideal candidate? Yep. Right? I mean, I don't know anybody on this call that went to university for 6 or 8 months and then graduated with their doctorate, right? Doing something well can take a little bit of time, but the rewards are outstanding, right? And the emotional cost, you guys, of having team members that are mediocre, you're micromanaging, you're burning out, all of that stuff we talked about earlier, this conversation, this training, and plus the financial part of it, right? I just updated this with Shazzy, our head admin trainer. And we believe that right now, with just confusion in the office, systems that don't work right, recalls not being done, people not being greeted properly, docs being stressed, extra time training, X, Y, and Z, that replacing just a front desk team member, not a tech CA, not an office manager, not an associate, just a front desk CA, you guys, probably costs you in lost business, training costs, all the other stuff, somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. 15 and 20 grand to replace it. And you still have all of that crazy stuff going on relative to the emotional costs and the entropy and the mediocrity and the viral load with the rest of the team members. I mean, it's a ripple effect from Hades, you guys. Do not recommend it. So the key to supercharging your team, first key, recruit good talent and do that properly, okay? The second step then is the days of job responsibilities. Gone with the dodo bird, you guys, right? Job responsibilities are like so 1980s. You might have snuck into the early 90s with it, but it is not this era as of this recording. What you want is outcomes. You want to get really clear with explaining to your team what outcomes they need to achieve in order to be great at their roles, all right? Because when you tell somebody they are responsible for something, they're going to be filtering it through their values, whether they're conscious of it or not. And then they're going to be performing in a way that serves their values. So the classic example I use all the time, because it's super simple, is if you tell, front desk Mandy that it's her responsibility to answer the phone in your office, it's possible that the outcome that she achieve, which according to her values and the priorities that come from it would be absolutely ideal, would be, hey, it's Dr. Tom's place. How's it going? Nandy's here. While she's sipping a cup of coffee, chewing gum. I don't know about you, but that makes me have a little bit of bile in the back of my throat. Whereas the outcome in my hands-on office years ago was this: answer the phone by the 4th ring with a smile on your face. Every time, say very clearly, Preston's Family Chiropractic, Pat speaking, how may I be of service, right? Really clearly defined outcome. Here's the other big secret, you guys. Human nature wants to do a good job. I don't care what part of the world you're from or what color your skin is or male, female, or college educated or high school educated or whatever. People inherently, innately want to do a good job. We're guilty as crap of not telling them how to do a great job. We don't give them the outcomes that they need to achieve to be great at that. So outcomes-based language is key. And there's actually a worksheet we're going to go through tonight, which will show that. And then you train them and you train them and you train them, or you recruit a professional trainer. I know one, head admin trainer in my company, okay, Shazia, who'll actually be joining us a little bit later on. And you hire them to train. That doesn't necessarily mean that once Shazia came in to train your team that that's where the training ends. No, I believe training should never end. And we'll talk about how to actually put together a proper training protocol to create the outcomes that you want to achieve. Because when you have proper outcomes assessments for every role on your team, sorry, did I say that out loud? I did. That's sorry, I did. I can say that. Marcy and I know each other that well. Now you can do performance reviews. And what are you doing performance reviews on? You're doing performance reviews on the outcomes. Are the outcomes being achieved or not? Because if the outcomes are being achieved, check, great, right? If the outcome's not being achieved, why is it not being achieved? Is it because it's not clearly understood? Is it because it hasn't been trained on? Is it because they're mediocre, slipping and need some support? Is it because they suck and they need to be replaced? If you don't have some objective measure to do a performance review on you guys, you're probably just, whistling the proverbial Dixie, and you're not going to get the kind of performance that you want to get out of your teams. Okay. I advocate in the early going, performance reviews should be done every quarter, every 90 days. They're efficient. They're to the point. I would encourage you to book them for an hour in the early going, maybe even 75 minutes, depending on how quickly you talk. There's definitely in our team pillar of our map, we have forms that we advocate for and stuff, right? But you go into it prepared, you work on and review the outcomes, and you have a plan. If there's things that are not performing properly, you have a plan for how to basically do it better. Okay, so that's what I advocate for on that front. We definitely have some noise in the background, gang. So if you have some noisy background, I would really love it if you could mute. That would make it just incredible for us. Appreciate that very, very much. Okay. The last piece of the 5 steps, you guys, is you must review. Yeah, I can mute all participants, Marcy. I just, I'm just looking for where that happens. Let me just pause. All right, so again, annual rewrite. You're rewriting the outcomes assessments to ensure that they're accurate and up to date, because things change, right? New ideas come in, new strategies come in, new structures come in. There's things you add to the business, things you take out of the business. If you're not doing an annual rewrite, what ends up happening, or at least review, maybe you review it and you don't have to rewrite it, but at least review it. Because if the language isn't congruent, if the team doesn't believe in the document 100%, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. Because you have no buy-in, you have no trust, and they just kind of go, why bother, right? It's not an accurate document, which, by the way, is true of all documents in a practice. But I mean, that's one that we're happen to be talking about today. So onwards and upwards we go. Okay, so let's get back to this, you guys. And I want to go into this worksheet, you guys. So let me go through all of the little steps that I got to go through. You know what? I'm really curious to know if I'm actually here.
Tom, you've muted yourself.
I did mute myself because you know what? I'm using this tool called a Stream Deck, which allows me to do things. I just learned it because it's a brand new toy, and I'm not really the techie guy, that's for sure. I tolerate technology because it helps with the mission that we have here at Full Circle. But I just learned something. That amazing tool does not work when you're screen sharing. So no wonder I couldn't mute everybody. So you know what? I could mute everybody and bring everybody back with a touch of a button now. Let me just test it. Okay, humor me. Yeah, I can. That's so fun. Okay, there we go. I want to show you guys this worksheet, which if you registered for the program, which I don't know how you got on here if you didn't register, so I guess we can go with that. This is something that you're going to fill out over time here, okay? And if you don't have this done, then this is going to be the primer piece for you to work towards getting it done. Okay. So I'm talking, there's many potential roles in a chiropractic office. But one of the most common one that pretty much everybody that we've ever coached has is some version of a front desk staff. You might have a different word for it, but some version of a front desk staff. There's tech CAs, there's marketing assistants, there's office managers, there's associates, there's, you know, all kinds of different roles people can play on a team, but this is one that we have. So this is an example, you guys, of the 5 main categories that we advocate for at Full Circle in our roadmap under the team pillar, in order for you to work on. So we've given you some space here to work in, you guys, but these are the 5 main categories that we advocate for. Optimizing the flow of people in the office, right? I tell you a fun story. I was out in Calgary doing an in-office consult several years ago, and I got to the office early in the morning, and then the doc ended up giving me a tour of the office and stuff. And I just absolutely loved the layout because the front desk staff was like mission control. It was mission central. It was right in the center of the office. And then there was the reception space. He had flow in for people incoming and then move back to the adjusting suites. And then they'd flow out on a different side. And the assistant could see the front door, could see the hot seats and the reception area seats, and could literally hear the flow of people in and out and see the adjusting areas and stuff. I mean, it was mission central. It was awesome. It was so well laid out. And it actually had a giant, like a 500-liter aquarium, right, that separated one part of the office from the other. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I said to Dr. Paul, I said, man, this office is amazing. I said, the flow of people through here. I said, where are you positioned desk staff? I said, this is just incredible because now you can completely optimize the flow of people in the office. And he starts to laugh and he goes, you don't remember, do you? I said, no. He goes, you better like the layout of this office. You designed it. I had another one at a clap moment. I have them apparently sometimes, okay? But when you're optimizing the flow of people in the office, you guys, right? It might be something as simple, an outcome might be as simple or straightforward as the outcome you want them to achieve. Okay, and again, this is the biggest challenge I find when docs try to write these documents is they don't write it in outcomes-based language. Okay, you're responsible for greeting patients when they walk in the door. No, the outcome you want them to achieve is to greet every client that walks through the door with a smile, and you brighten their day with your mood, or something like that, right? So you want to write it in complete outcomes-based language, and make sure that you're clear on that. The second category I advocate for is communicating and reinforcing the doc's messages. Okay, we often talk about back room, adjusting area, doc's area, and front of the office, right? When there's congruence between the messaging at the back, what's being said in the adjusting suites, and what's being said at the front desk, you've got a powerful office. And when I do in-office consults, what I will do is I'll actually sit in the reception area, the waiting room which by the way, you guys, please, words have meaning, right? And I'm one of those chiropractors that hates the word manipulation. I don't, manipulation feels dirty to me. It's like you're cheating somebody. So again, you know what? I like the word adjustment. It is a different meaning to me, right? And so if words have meaning, why in heaven's name would you ever have a waiting room in your office? Why would you do that? People wait in a waiting room. Why don't you have a living room? People come in and they live in your living room. We took that word out of our vocabulary. We had a living room. We didn't have a waiting room because people wait. People hate waiting. I hate waiting. Nobody likes to wait. So, small tip from my heart to yours, okay? But if you're reinforcing the messages, which might be something as an outcome might be communicates and books patients for doctors' healthcare classes, as an example, right? Just kind of off the cuff and on the fly, right? But anyways, there's a category here. I think there's 11 or 12. And you know what? Actually, I can pull ours up. I'll pull ours up in a minute, you guys. Financial transactions. That's another thing most front desk staff are not responsible for, but an outcome they must achieve, which might be, accept payments of all forms and balance the general ledger by end of day to the penny or the dime or whatever it is you think is appropriate, right? Marketing. Your front desk team members, in my opinion, an outcome should be tied to marketing. And literally, there's lots of other things that you do at a team meeting, but one of the things that I advocate for is every second team meeting, which you're having weekly, of course, is that you're, and by the way, I'm really up on that because I just wrote a brand new module for our team on effective team meetings, because they're done so terribly in this profession. Oh dear Lord, just a train wreck, most meetings. Just anyways, it'll be better because I've written a nice module and shot some videos around it, which you could get. But on the marketing side, right? Like team meetings, every second meeting should be focused on marketing, and they should be attending team meetings with a smile on their face and contributing effectively. Might be an outcome, right? And then there's all the clerical duties, you guys, right? Which is kind of the drier part of that particular role, but still an effective and meaningful thing. If I go in and look, you guys, let me just click some magic buttons here and see. Oh, cool. Marcy, give me a thumbs up. Did I just change something? Oh my God, Dan, Robin, I'm having a technical breakthrough here. I'm breaking through. It's awesome. So here is a template that we use at Full Circle. Front desk CA performance outcomes, optimize the flow of people coming to and moving through the office every day. Greet every person with a smile and a hello as they enter the office. Real simple, but an outcome, right? And they know whether they're doing it. So when you do your performance reviews, it's super simple. You get them to review, 1 out of 10. 10 means they're doing it. 1 means they haven't got a clue, right? But I can tell you, like something like this, it's like an actual and outward expression of a voice. And they know whether they're doing it or not, right? And then you can clean it up. I don't know how many are in here, you guys, but there's quite a few pieces underneath our first category here. Communicates and reinforces clearly and efficiently the needs and wants of the doc to maximize patients' chiropractic care and therefore their health, right? Books extended appointments and new PMs into the appropriate time block areas of the appointment book efficiently and accurately. How? Not mediocrity and terribly, efficiently and accurately, right? Create the outcomes that you want them to achieve, you guys, right? Monitors and creates all types of financial transactions. We talked about that. There's 10 or so there. Assist the docs, the rest of the team in marketing, right? Attends and participates in the 5 to 10 special events the practice manifests every year. That was my practice, right? We did all kinds of great stuff. Well, because it was my value, right? We had a very event-based practice. Started it with a massive Christmas party, which our biggest Christmas party, you guys, we had 350 people at our Christmas party, and every kid got a gift. Every kid got a gift. I was very proud of that fact. And then we'd have beach day, and usually in late January, early February, we'd bring in some sand and we'd wear like Hawaiian clothes. And then there was Valentine's Day, and we had all these different things that we did, events, right? Because we built a community in our practice. And then here's the clerical one, you guys, right? There's, wow, surprisingly quite a few there. So anyways, your task, should you choose to accept it, I feel like Mission Impossible here, right? Is to, get that worksheet and start filling out your outcomes assessment. I'd be really curious. Not everybody here is, I can see your smiling faces, which I would love to, but if you choose not to turn your camera on, that's on you. But just even in the chat, if your fingers are close to the chat, you guys, how many people have written outcomes assessments for every role in their team? Just put me in the chat if you do. Or actually just tell me yes or no. I do or I don't. Just put it in the chat. I'm curious to see. I'm going to take a little poll here. And I know, Marcy, there's a way to do polls on Zoom, but hey, don't stress my tech genius, okay? Just curious, the folks that are on the call, just do you have a written outcomes assessment for every role in the team? I see a no, a hell no, a no, not for all, for some, but not for all. Okay, cool. All right, so I would say that you guys have, possibly got, some work to do. If what I've been sharing has been meaningful to you, then you could definitely get busy after this. And I think the coach in me is going to want to do that. Shazia is here. Yay, Shaz. Come off mute and say hi.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, and you know what else I can do? I've learned this too. I can spotlight Shazia.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, look at that. I can really put her right like center stage and have her be there. Shazia, thanks for being here. Shazia is our head admin team trainer at Full Circle. And Shaz, how many years have you been involved in chiropractic? It's been a while. I don't want to age you.
Chiropractic? Well, I've been with Full Circle since 2015, and I was a CA for about 15 years before that. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's a little while.
Yeah.
So I guess like me, you're not 22 anymore.
No.
But you are, Shaz, getting better with age. I mean, that
Thank
I
you.
can definitely say. I've known you long enough to do that, right? So we actually do have an admin training division here at Full Circle, as we just said, and Shaz is the head admin trainer. So Shaz, relative to outcomes assessments, why don't you just share a little bit about your experience with outcomes assessments, both in and out of Full Circle, and of course, mostly with the training you do for assistants. And maybe just tell us a little bit about the program itself and how it all
Sure.
kind of comes together. It'd be great.
Yeah, well, with the outcomes assessment, I mean, as Dr. Tom said, it's really, really important that every team member have an outcomes assessment. I recall when we actually launched this training program back in 2015, there was one team that, you know, what I would hear from the CA so often was, oh, I'm not responsible for that, or, oh, no, that's not my job, right? So, and they had no idea what an outcomes assessment was. So we actually worked on one with them. And the CAs kind of just jotted everything they did and created the outcomes assessment template for the docs to have a look at and make sure everything was included in there. And after they had that clarity, it was amazing at the performance. I mean, they were more energetic and they loved their job at the end. So it wasn't, and they used to say before as well, we're just the receptionist. But after they had their outcomes assessment, they weren't just receptionists, they were CAs. And there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, 100% there is.
Yeah.
Shaz, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a great training about, you know, how to actually differentiate those two, right? So
For sure.
carry on, Shaz, please.
For sure. Yeah, so that's basically what the outcome assessment. It is a really important document, and I think I've shared the template with some of you already as well. So that's that. If I can just share another little story about just with the CA training that we have. I mean, again, we've had over 100 offices that we've trained in the past 7 years from all over the world. So it's been an amazing journey for myself, and I'm sure for the offices that we've worked with as well. There was another office that comes to mind now. They actually, whenever they recruit their new CAs, they always send them our way. So this is the third time they've come through the CA training with Full Circle, because their office just keeps growing, right? So they keep recruiting more CAs, and every time they come into their office, they send them our way, which is amazing because each CA finds their own little gems through the training to contribute to their team. Yeah, so if I can just share a little bit about the CA training program, it is a 6-month program that we offer. It has 12 modules that we work through, and it's not your typical online course, even though we do it all electronically, you guys. And I'll tell you guys why it's not the typical online course in just a minute. So how it works is your CA team gets emailed a module. They have a certain time to look at it, review it, ask any questions on it, digest it, and then there's exercises at the end of each module that they have to complete individually, not as a team. So once they complete their exercises, they send it back to us. We send them a quiz for the same module, and the quiz isn't to give them a mark, you guys. It's more for us to see how we can support them more. So once we get their quiz back, they get the next module. So we work through about 2 modules in a month. And the thing that sets us apart from any other training course that I've looked into is that we have monthly phone calls with the CA teams. So what we do on the monthly phone calls, we review their homework, any questions in there that they needed support with, any support they needed in the office, even in regards to scenarios that we haven't covered in the material. We're there to support them. And a lot of role playing. It's funny because the first call, usually nobody puts their hand up to volunteer with the role playing. And it's not comfortable, I agree. But by the 3rd, 4th month, it's amazing how the CAs want to role play, and they have their own ideas. They want to share of what if I said this, or how would I handle this situation? So I think they really enjoy the monthly phone calls and that time one-on-one with the coach. Yeah, so there's the monthly phone calls. And again, throughout the whole training, you know, your CA team has access to their coaches via email, text, or phone. And they are given a call schedule, you guys. So, you know, they'll have the dates of when to expect the material, when the homework is due, when quizzes are due, when the monthly phone calls are. But I know life gets busy. So sometimes if it's, you know, we do work at their pace. So if they take a little bit longer, that's okay. We work with them and support them the best we can. And if they have any scenarios that come up that, we haven't covered in the material yet, they're welcome to reach out as well, because we're here to support them, as I said, and we want to help them become rockstar CAs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said, Shaz. And as you said, wow, you know what? I forgot we crossed the 100 office barrier on the CA training, Shaz, right? That's
Yeah.
incredible. And that is largely due to your genius, my dear. So thank you so much for being you and for, bringing what you bring to Full Circle into those offices and those team members. Because you said something at the start of this, Shaz, I just want to touch on for a moment. It's so many assistants feel like they're just like a receptionist, right? And there's so much more than that. And they're adding so much value to the office, financially as well as otherwise. And until they really take ownership that they're a professional in a professional office, it's hard for them to really engage at the level that we would like to see them, So anyways, if you're interested, you guys, in our CA training program, I put a link in the chat. You can click on that and you can learn more about it and what's involved. Great job of giving us sort of the thumbnail, but if you want more details, you click on that link and you can do that. If you're watching this in recording, which I'm guessing most people will be, there could be a link to our CA training program associated with the, with the recording. So I'm going to just remove that spotlight, Shaz, so you feel a little bit more comfortable with things, okay? And we're going to go and we're going to bring this baby in for a landing unless some people have questions. And I'm happy to stay around for as long as people want me to answer any questions. So at the risk of acting like a coach, which by the way, one of the things I value about coaching, both as a client, because I still have a coach in my life, right? There's been a rare time in the last 35 years that I haven't had a coach in my life. It would seem kind of hypocritical for me to be an advocate for coaching and not have a coach myself. But my coach is interesting. His name is Taki out of Australia, Taki Moore. And, we talked a lot about accountability and here's how we do accountability. You tell us when things are going to be due ready, and then we will care about you, your contribution to humanity, your office, your team, your family, love you enough, if you allow us, to hold you accountable for that, right? Because accountability allows that. So I feel like if you've invested, some of your time and energy to be here tonight, then you know what? I'm going to act like a coach. I'm risking that you're giving me authority to act like a coach. And so Tom, the coach, says, right? Delete job responsibilities and create outcomes, right? Complete rewrite in outcomes-based language of job responsibilities. Just stop that. So it's a pretty easy thing to do tomorrow at the office, is to just go and burn that document. Well, if it's on your hard drive, don't burn your hard drive. But if it's a paper document, just, burn it, okay? Tom, the coach, also says, focus on outcomes, right? And the language that goes with that. One of the benefits of membership in our community Full Circle is that template I showed you. It's kind of part of the tuition, right? So it's there, and of course that is also part of the CA training package too, Shaz, right? So definitely those templates are there. They need to be customized and tweaked for your particular flavor of office, but it can be done. And so here's the accountability side of the coach, right? If you've got job responsibilities, you want to focus on outcomes. If you don't have job responsibilities, you don't have anything to delete, but you should create outcomes. So here's the question. I feel like Alex Trebek. When's that going to get done, you guys? When are you going to get a working draft of your outcomes assessments? And here we go. I would ask for accountability. And the best way to do that is to grab your phone, put a date and time and space. If you're old school pen and paper, like I often am, put a date down. And then I would love to see it in the chat. I'd love to see a date for when you're going to update, tweak, or create in the first place your outcomes assessments. Let me act like a coach. Let me support you. Let me help you. Let me coach you. It's in my DNA. I can't help myself. It's just there. So let's see what's going to show up in the chat, Chaz. I'm just going to be, stay here awkwardly long enough until people actually take their fingers and put them to their keyboards. All right. So we have got, if I can shine the light out of my eyes, right? You know what? If I move this over here, oh, so much better. Next week, Dan Robinson, next week on a break. Who else is going to be brave enough to actually step up and make a comment? Who is going to give us a deadline in time and space? Anybody? Come on, you guys. Come on. Let's see some accountability here. Holy cow, Shaz. I think we need some more accountability in this particular group. All right, I'm going to be watching for that chat to come in here, you guys. Okay. All right, if you're somebody that's enjoying spending time with us, and these trainings, on average, they happen every 2 weeks, 7:30 Eastern on Thursday nights. The next one, we're actually going to dive deep into the roadmap, you guys, right? And I'm going to take you into a backstage tour of what's in there, why it's there, what it means, and how you can benefit from it. My goal of that training, you guys, will be for you to be able to plug into, and I'm going to give you a copy of our roadmap, okay, so that you can actually use it constructively to start to flush out your own game plan for growth. Because if you know what, you guys, if you don't have a plan, in writing, the probability of actually growing, moving, and what's the benefit of growing and expanding? Well, you get to serve humanity at a higher level. And what's the benefit of that? You personally feel more fulfilled. Like the Creator loved you into existence for a purpose, and you're actually fulfilling it. I know every day of my life that that's a truth for me. I didn't always, but I know that every day. I can't tell you how rewarding that is, how fulfilling that is. And the huge fringe benefit, when you got a plan, the probability of growth is monumentally higher, right? Our average client returns 347% on their dollars invested in the growth of their business. I don't know about you, but I don't have any investments that are doing 347%. Had I bought Tesla about 12 years ago, maybe, you know, otherwise, no, 6 or 7% seems to be the average. But yeah, I want you guys to be able to come up with a plan. I love the story of Alice in Wonderland, right? Alice goes down the rabbit hole. She meets the Mad Hatter at a junction in the rabbit hole. And she goes, Mad Hatter, which way should I go? And the Mad Hatter says, well, where do you want to end up? And she goes, well, I don't know. And he goes, I guess it doesn't matter which way you go then, right? You got to have a plan, you guys. You're going to end up somewhere that probably you don't want to be, okay? So thanks for your time and attention, you guys. It's an honor for me to be able to share my thoughts. And despite what my wife says in her best days, if I am that dumb of a son of a bitch that I need to teach a lot, then that's okay. I can wear that with a badge of honor because I love teaching, I love sharing, because I love helping people fulfill their full potential. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then if anybody has any questions, I would be really, really happy to stay on and answer them.